places you'll go. When you were young, what did you want to be when you grew up? How many times did that change? Do you think that you could do what you've done or go to places that you've been? How has the world changed in your lifetime? Those are good questions. I grew up on a farm in northwest Iowa with 2 sisters and 3 brothers. When I was in kindergarten, I started taking piano lessons. At about the same time, my parents transferred their membership from the small Methodist church in my hometown to the large Methodist church in Storm Lake. My mother taught Sunday school. My father sang in the choir. When I was in junior high, I took organ lessons in the summer from the associate pastor's wife. In high school, I sang in the chancel choir with my father. When I was a sophomore, my piano teacher retired. The neighbor girls wanted to take lessons, and my mother said, "Kathy can give them lessons." As a senior in high school, I took organ lessons from our church organist. I decided to major in music and attend Buena Vista College, now university, in Storm Lake so I could keep my 13 piano students. I took another year of organ lessons from our church organist, who was the college organ professor. At the end of that year, she decided to pursue a PhD. Another woman and I played the church organ for the rest of my college days. When singing hymns in church, cantatas and anthems with the church choir, and practicing hymns, I felt the Holy Spirit working in my life. It was like praying and singing at the same time. After graduation, I taught public school music for 8 years in Iowa. I attended Methodist churches and sang in the choir and occasionally played the piano and organ. I began to feel God calling me to church work and applied for church positions in music and Christian education. The discernment process led me to serve as the Christian educator at a 2,200-member church in Cedar Falls, Iowa. I called it baptism by fire. I took a 2-week intensive certification class during the next 4 summers and was certified as a Christian educator by the United Methodist Church. Then, God called me to serve a church with the largest Sunday school in the Iowa Conference. I realized then that God was calling me to be a Christian educator. I accepted that call and that position, and I decided to enter the master's degree in Christian education in ministry option. I would take 2-week intensive classes twice a year, and the church I was serving would be my field education experience. I graduated in 1993, was consecrated a diaconal minister, and answered God's call to serve a church in Easley, South Carolina. So, what is a diaconal minister? At that time, church pastors were ordained as a deacon to the probationary period, and after 3 years, if they met the criteria, they could be ordained a second time as a full traveling elder and a member of the annual conference. Persons called to specialized ministries like Christian education, youth and other age-level ministries, music ministries, and so forth, were lay people who could be consecrated a diaconal minister. In 1996, the General Conference of the United Methodist Church changed the way we order ministry. After 1996, there would be 2 tracks of ordained ministry. 1, the elders track for the pastors, and 2, the deacon track for persons called to specialized ministries. Candidates in both tracks would be commissioned to their probationary period and then ordained once, either as an elder or a deacon in full connection. Diaconal ministers who served 3 years could be ordained a deacon after meeting the criteria. Elders were guaranteed an appointment by the bishop. Deacons, like lay people, must find their own position. Then deacons ask the bishop to be appointed to that position. Deacons who serve in the world must also have a secondary appointment to the local church. In 1997, God called me to serve Faith United Methodist Church in Rockville. In 1998, I was ordained a deacon by the Baltimore-Washington Conference at Washington National Cathedral. One of my friends, who also grew up on a farm in northwest Iowa, said, "Who would ever think that a northwest Iowa farm girl would be ordained, let alone in Washington National Cathedral?" Oh, the places you'll go. By 2003, anthrax and the sniper shootings left me longing to be closer to my family in Iowa. Ultimately, I was offered 2 positions within a week of each other. I prayed about this and felt God calling me to serve Hudson United Methodist Church in Ohio. By 2011, the economy had impacted the Akron-Cleveland auto industry, and church budgets shrunk. My position was eliminated for financial reasons. In my search, it was clear that God was calling me to come to serve St. Matthew's. 13 months after I arrived, my home in Ohio sold. Since I didn't know how long that would last, I could only buy what was needed. I had been a tither and finally settled on a much smaller pledge. I began to see the world through the eyes of the poor. I share this with you now as many people in our community can relate to being in similar places. So where have we been at St. Matthew's in the last 5 years? What are we doing to help parents raise their children in the faith? Are we living into the commission in Deuteronomy 6? When I came to St. Matthew's, it was almost time for Vacation Bible School. This lay-led Vacation Bible School gave a new look and format to VBS. This year, we are also experiencing a lay-led Vacation Bible School. I've equipped the teams to go forward with their ministry in their specific areas, and we are going to continue to be an outreach Bible school as an outreach ministry. And we will have a service project. Since I've been here, we've also began the Mommy, Daddy, and Me class for Vacation Bible School for 2-year-olds and a parent. Last year, we added a family service project. You'll remember that we put the no dumping leads to waterway markers on the storm drains in the T section of Bowie. We found that in order to do that, we had to pick up the trash off the storm drains. This year, at Surf Shack, we will keep the trash off our beaches. We will learn about Mr. Trash Wheel in the Inner Harbor of Baltimore and take an offering to fund a new trash wheel for the Canton area of the Inner Harbor. We will invite families to keep the trash picked up in their neighborhood and invite them to several family outings, including seeing Mr. Trash Wheel in the Baltimore Harbor and the aquarium, and visiting other educational museums and parks. We've also changed the start time and end time of Vacation Bible School several times. This year we're starting at 5:50 and serving a supper to all participants, and we're finishing by 8 o'clock in hopes that that will give children a better night's sleep. We started summer Sunday school the year after I joined the staff. This gives families new opportunities to get acquainted with older kids before school begins. It's also a time when we mentor and encourage new people to teach and try it. This has given opportunities for youth and college students who want to be teachers a chance to teach. This summer, the yellow insert lists all the classes that we're offering, and we have a new thing coming. It's called Faith Link, a current events Bible study, where each Sunday has a new topic and a lesson to be sent by email the week before. We revisioned the Christmas program. You'll remember the cast with the baby Jesus and the parents as Mary and Joseph. The program was based on the children's curriculum, and you will recall that the program is now the message for the 11 o'clock service. It was also a time of mentoring youth in speaking and children in acting and telling, giving them practice telling our Bible story. We started a Sunday school class for 2-year-olds, and we changed the nursery to preschool praise school, where the children learn a Bible story and retell it through activities and crafts. They also receive communion on Communion Sundays, when I take the communion elements out of the sanctuary. This symbolizes the role of the deacon, bridging church and world. While children are welcome to stay and worship, we give them the option of following the light to preschool, praise school after the children's message. Many parents today both work. Some parents take turns working evenings and weekend shifts so that one of them can be with the children. This can make it difficult to be here on Sunday mornings. We still offer the infant nursery during worship and Sunday school and strive to staff it each week as faithful and radical hospitality. We are ready when the children come. We invite others to serve in this ministry as Jesus sent the disciples out 2 by 2. And speaking of that passage, visitors judge the church by what they see in the first 5 minutes, by what's there for their children, the nursery, and parking. They're quick to dust off their sandals and move on. The children's ministry team continues to offer a variety of children and family events, both on weekends and after church. You're familiar with the back to school party and trunk or treat, to name a few of those projects. We also do mission projects with Heifer International and the Bowie Food Pantry, but none of what we do is done in a vacuum. The M&Ms stuff the Easter eggs for the Easter egg hunt. The congregation joins in the mission project with Heifer International, and we join the congregation in bringing food for the food pantry. We pruned and added St. Matthew's Family Night at the Bay Sox game and service projects like planting a tree. As a way to communicate with our families, I send the weekly Family Matters email. This includes stories that the children are learning in Sunday school so that the parents can have conversations with them. How many times do you ask your children, what did you learn in Sunday school? Oh, nothing. So we're giving them the tools to communicate and to raise our children in the faith. This year we started using the new Deep Blue children's curriculum that came with the reproducible family devotions. This gives families daily suggestions for talking about the lesson of the week and applying it to their lives. On Friday, they see the video that the children saw in Sunday school. If they miss a week, they can catch up with what they missed. Children are really liking this new curriculum. The Christian Formation Committee and Adult Council offer classes to help participants grow in faith and knowledge of God, how to love God through prayer and worship, how to discover and use your gifts, how to pray, and ways to lead and start groups. This team has also worked with age-level ministries to create a lifelong discipleship plan for St. Matthew's. The plan identifies intentional growth in faith for the nursery children through adults. The children and youth have age-level curriculum that guides their faith growth. Adults, on the other hand, have many options from which to choose. The Journey brochure that is in your bulletin is a personal spiritual assessment for discovering where you are in faith and gives suggestions how to intentionally grow your faith from there. The inside of the brochure can be used as a devotional tool by individuals, with friends, or by small groups. The tool can also guide classes in selecting curriculum that help the class members intentionally grow in their faith. It can be useful in starting small groups of people in similar places. The assessment part of the brochure is what you see when you open up the bulletin. It's on this page. It is self-scoring, and it will give you an idea where you are in your faith journey. It has taken several years to create this plan and edit and test the assessment tool to make it user-friendly. I invite you to take this with you and start using it. The books mentioned on the inside tables will be in a green folder, with boxes, on the metal shelf in the church library. Please sign the books out and in if you choose to borrow it. We have journeyed a long way in the past 5 years. God calls us to work together with our families in raising our children in the faith. Jesus called the disciples to understand God's call on our lives. Jesus sent disciples out 2 by 2 and in groups. None of our ministries would have happened without you, our leaders, our teachers, and our participants. It takes the whole church. Through reading the Bible and Christian formation, learning groups and classes, we have come to know God. Through prayer and worship, we learn to love God. Through using our gifts in service with others, we serve God. These are the tools that we can use on our faith journey. God is calling me to a new chapter in my faith journey as I retire and move home to be near my family. As I faithfully move forward with one step at a time, God reveals the next step. In January, I announced my retirement. When I did that, I became very aware of the lives I've touched that have not really been a part of my ministry or that have been. As a mentor with confirmation classes and a teacher, as children's church, I taught the students. I've touched lives of people who are sitting out there and not knowing it. I've led classes, and it's important to recognize that we don't know who we touch. Then, in February, I made an offer on a house in Storm Lake that I had seen at Christmas time. The offer was accepted, and I closed on my house on May 4th. The previous owners left their piano in the house. A few weeks later, my sister called to say that a piano teacher is retiring and sending a letter to parents with names of other piano teachers for them to contact for lessons. My name's on the list. The rest of that story is yet to come. And the rest of the details in my journey and moving and going forward are yet to come. When I was in Storm Lake on May 4th, I also met with the district superintendent. He would be happy to appoint me to serve a small church, because that's what deacons and lay people are doing a lot in Northwest Iowa. And I said, I'm not sure about that. So when we met, he learned my strengths and gifts, and I may be also doing part-time things here and there, giving workshops, etc., with the church. I also learned that when you retire, you have to name a charge church to be your home church, where you report the number of baptisms, weddings, and funerals that you do. So my home church is the church I grew up in, and the rest of the story is yet to come. I invite you to grow in your faith, to bring people along with you in serving, to mentor others, to share your faith. It doesn't matter what you do or don't know. God will meet you where you are and help you learn in your faith. Just start growing somewhere, somehow, and step forward on the journey. As you listen to God and journey with God, you will be amazed at the places you go.